Welcome to the informational video on the changes to the 18th ETO collective agreement that comes into effect on April 1st, 2019. My name is Karina Tsui, and I am a Senior Labor Relations Specialist with the BC Public Service Agency, which is also known as the PSA.
Yes, and hello everyone. My name is Frank Anderson, and I'm a Regional Coordinator with the BC Government and Services Employees Union, which is often referred to as the BCGU, or some people use a shortened version of the GEU.
Thanks, Frank. We have created this video to support work sites so they understand the changes and can complete important steps leading up to the implementation of the new hours of work language. This video is also meant to assist those who were unable to join us for one of the provincial training sessions that were delivered in late January and early February.
And all of the changes to the ETO collective agreement are available online for you to read. However, the changes are substantial, and the employer and the union have agreed it's important to provide additional information to everyone before these changes are implemented this April.
I agree. It's a very collaborative effort. There are two big changes to the ETO component agreement. The first change is that it will no longer have separate provisions for each operational group or classification. The old agreement had separate provisions throughout the articles for Appendix 2, Appendix 3, and Appendix 5 employees. While many of those provisions were similar, it made the agreement hard to read, and many employees and supervisors were confused about which provisions applied to them. The new agreement eliminates those appendices so that the agreement applies to all employees, except where it is specifically noted.
Yeah, and that was a major task to do that. Now, of course, the second major change is the hours of work provisions. And many have been focused on those for good reason. Some employees watching this video may be asking, well, what effect do these changes have on them? And the answer largely depends on what your present hours of work are. Many of these changes will have no impact on you, except that now every work unit must go through a process of reviewing the hours of work table and completing the new hours of work form. However, for some employees, the hours of work changes may require you to make some changes in your hours of work and how you record those hours of work.
Thanks, Frank. That's important information. What you are seeing now is the new hours of work table effective April 1st, 2019. This table applies to all employees, and each of the 24 schedule options clearly sets out the length of an employee's shift, the shift schedule, and the calculation of the surplus or shortage hours and the number of days of rest.
Yeah, thanks, Karina. And as you can see, one of the features of the new hours of work table is that it provides a variety of options. This includes ones that allow employees to bank surplus hours as earned time off, or what is known as ETO. This provision provides a lot of additional flexibility, since this ETO can then be scheduled by mutual agreement at any time throughout the year.
Thanks, Frank. There are also two important steps supervisors and employees need to do before the new hours of work language becomes effective. The first step is for all work groups to complete the hours of work agreement form by March 1st. Each work group must have an hours of work agreement form completed, even if they are in one of the work groups that can still work a flex time or averaging work schedule. We will discuss these groups more later. This is the hours of work form that each work group must complete.
So the hours of work form is completed at the local worksite level by the union steward and the excluded supervisor. The form is completed by work group, which are generally made up of more than one individual. While the union representative and the supervisor may agree to any of the hours of work schedules from that table, a good starting point is to consider the schedule that is closest to mirroring the hours employees in the work group are currently working. Now, we've also built in a potential for work groups to try a schedule for a limited period. This is known as the sunset clause. If the work group opts for this, they can try out a schedule option in the table for 6 months before committing to it.
That's a very good idea, Frank. And though every work group is required to complete an hours of work agreement with a schedule from the hours of work table, some work groups may continue with an averaging period of hours of work. These are work groups who typically are involved in inspection services.
So the parties negotiated the hours of work table with all work groups in mind, and we believe that all work groups may be able to operate efficiently using an option that's in the hours of work table. Therefore, these work groups must still consider whether a table schedule would work and then fill out that form. But these employees can continue to work the averaging schedule if they belong to one of those work groups that are listed in the agreement.
That's right. And there are also work groups who currently work a flex schedule. Because the union and the employer explicitly agreed to this, those work groups can continue to work a flex schedule, but they must still also go through the process of considering whether a schedule from the table may work for them. And they are still required to fill out the hours of work form.
For sure they are. And after the hours of work agreement form is completed, the second important step for each employee is to complete an annual hours of work schedule with their supervisor. Now this must be done by April 1st. This schedule includes the days of rest, the start and finish times, and the number of hours worked each day, which you would get from the form. It also includes the scheduled vacation, of course, and also scheduled surplus hours and any seasonal periods.
That's right. And another important point that we want to mention is that the changes to the hours of work language is covered under a 1-year pilot project. During that year, the parties will be monitoring its progress and any issues that arise. The new language will become permanent unless either side gives notice to cancel it, but they must provide reasons for wanting to end it. If that occurs, the parties are required to meet to review the provisions and try to resolve the issues.
Absolutely, because we are committed to doing the best we can to make this work. And part of that is resolving any issues that may arise. So as part of that, we've also agreed to a separate dispute resolution process that involves representatives from each side for any of the hours of work issues.
That is a true collaborative effort. The hours of work are important for both the employer's operations and for employees who structure their lives around their hours of work. We hope that you will find the new language easy to follow and work with. If you have any questions, please go to this website and review the Q&A and PowerPoint presentation. If you still have questions, please contact your union representative or submit a question through MyHR.